top part of our work together is going to be endorsing our checks. And I talked about the types of endorsements yesterday. We have a blank, special, and restrictive. And I want you to notice that we have A, B, and C. I already said that. I said I know it's past due. You can still open it up. Blank, special, and restrictive. And when we go through and complete it, excuse me, we're going to do this one as blank, this one as special, and then this one as restrictive. So we know a blank endorsement truly is just signing your name. So when we go through and sign or look at our directions, it does tell us that we are an employee from Balsam Lake Accounting, and you have been authorized to sign checks. So pretty much, Applia can't go through and know everyone's name out there in the world. So basically, what you would have to do here for an endorsement is to have your signature. So really, your option is just signature. Not super tough. When we take a look at our special endorsement, basically, our special endorsement, we are going to transfer the ownership of the check from our business to Kelsey Sather. So to transfer ownership, we're going to write in the very first line, pay to the order of, because I'm transferring this check ownership from our business to Kelsey Sather. And so we're going to choose Kelsey Sather, and then below that we have to sign our name. And then what do you think Kelsey would have to do when she goes to the bank? Sign it. And she shouldn't sign it until she gets to the bank. Okay, so that's a way for you to do that. Now, not all businesses will cash these checks, and sometimes they're called second-party checks. It's another phrase that businesses will sometimes post. They'll say, we don't accept second-party checks. But it is a legal way of endorsing checks. Now, the third type of endorsement is called a restrictive, and that is the one that most businesses are going to use. And it's going to say specifically what happens. And we'll say for deposit only to the account of, and then the name of the business, Balsam Lake Accounting, and then there's going to be a signature. Now, I use this endorsement sometimes when my husband is going to make a deposit. Okay, so the check is made payable to me, but he's going to take it. I don't want to just sign my name on the back of it and then he takes it, because what would happen? He could lose the check. Anyone could cash it. So I will sometimes say for deposit only to the account of my name, and then I will sign it. So that way if anyone finds the check, it can only deposit it into my account. So that's another way that individuals can use it if you know somebody else is going to be going to the bank for you. Okay. So those are our three types of endorsements. Instruction number 2, record the balance brought forward on check stub number 78 to $1,805.75. So I'm going to go right here on this line and type in $1,805.75. And you do need to put in a decimal point for that. Okay. Right here on check stub number 78, I put the balance, except I have extra zero. $1,805.75. I actually put in 10,000. Now, instruction number 3 reads, record a deposit of $489 made on October 30th the current year on check stub number 78. So right here on our check stub, we have a spot for us to go through and record our deposits. So this is going to allow us to make sure at any given point we know exactly what our balance is in our account. So when I go through and look at this, the first thing I have to do is put in the date. And I'm going to write in 10 because that is the month. Then I'm going to put the month or the date as 30. And right here you would put in the year, but they put in dash dash. So we'd put in 14. And the amount of this deposit really is $489.00. So I'm going to put 489.00. Now, our current balance prior to doing anything on this check stub was $1,805.75. I have a deposit here of $49. Deposits increase the balance of my account. So I'm going to take $1,805.75 plus $489. And that new balance is going to go right here for the subtotal. You are not going to have a deposit on every check stub, but you will have it on some. So you should have your calculator open. and you go through and calculate your balance. When I calculate it, I get a balance of $222,294.75. Would you agree? Now, this is one of the first times you actually have cents, so don't forget your cents while you're doing that. Okay. Now, my next set of directions is recorded deposit of $489 on check stub number 78. Now, instruction number 4 says prepare check stubs and write the following checks. Use October 30th of the current year as the date. So we have check number 78 is written to the corner garage for repairs. So when we start writing out this check, we do the check stub first. So notice when I went through and brought my balance forward and did my deposit, it didn't matter whether or not I was actually writing out a check yet. We just know that we filled that out on our next unused check stub. So check number 78 was going to be for $162. From the very top, I put in numbers the amount of the check. Next, I'm going to put in the date, and I'm going to write in words October 30th. Now, in reality, could you use numbers? You could. You could do 10/30. And then typically you would also put in the year in this section. Now, 2, the check is being made payable to Corner Garage, and it's for repairs. I need to complete my stub before I fill out my check. Do we have anything on the stub for the other section? Do we have any information about anything going in the other section? So that will be blank, and then I will go ahead and bring in my number down to my next subtotal. So I'm going to take $2,294.75 and bring it down. The amount of this check is $162. So I'm writing a check for $162, but before I write it out, the balance on my check stub says $2,294.75. So I need to go through and subtract. And when I subtract, what is my balance, Dylan? Correct. $2,132.75. The next thing I do is I take that $2,132.75 and put in my next check stub. Before I write out the check, I'm just filling in my check stubs. Now, I'm going to go over here and fill out the check. And when I fill out the check, I start in the upper right and do the date first, and it's going to be October 30th. Typically, you would also fill in the year over here on the right. It's going to be made payable to Corner Garage. So we'll type in words, Corner Garage. And then the amount is going to be $162. The next line down below where it says Corner Garage, you're going to put the amount of the check in words. So it's going to be $162 and no over 100. And we want to make sure that we include our cents. We don't leave it off. The other thing that we would do if we were physically writing it out is I would make sure I draw a line between the cents and the word dollars. And we talked about that yesterday as a cash control because we want to make sure that nobody goes in and modifies the amount of the check. That's why we have the check written in words and in numbers, so that way people can't go through and say, oh, this is going to be a $162,000 check instead of $162. The 4 part is repairs, and you are authorized to sign checks, so it is going to say signature. Let's do the same thing for check number 79. Check stub number 79 is to St. Croix Supply for supplies for $92. So we can get that information right here off of our directions. I'm going to start on the check stub, and it's going to be $92. The date for both checks is still October 30th. It's going to be made payable to St. Croix Supply, and then it is for supplies. We have no deposit on check stub number 79, so I leave the deposit line blank. I carry down my amount brought forward to subtotal. I have nothing for the other section, so I bring that number down again. Don't leave it blank, because if you leave it blank, it will be wrong. And this check is being written out for $92. And again, the amount of the check gets subtracted. So if I take $2,132.75, subtract from it 92, Libby, what is my balance? After the check. Yes, $2,040.75. Now, we don't have the next check stub, but if we did, we bring that balance brought forward to the next unused check stub. Okay. Now let's fill out the check. Date is October 30th. St. Croix Supply for $92. And I got a 40 out of 40. Anyone else? Marcus, did you get a 40 out of 40? All right. Go ahead and try on your own, please.